This is a quick video on fixing the quantity of inventory items. Let's say that you have a particular inventory item that got broken. It fell off the shelf and got broken, something like that. And so now the books are still showing that that inventory item is in there, but in reality it's broken and gone. So we need to get into our books to record that, and that will still go under cost of goods sold. So even though it's not, that broken item is not sold, it's still an expense. That item didn't get to be sold. It's still an expense. It's gone. So we can show that in QuickBooks when something like that happens. You might also have a situation where something accidentally got recorded into the system that we sold part 1, 2, 3, and so it subtracts one of those 1, 2, 3 parts off the books, when really it was part 4, 5, 6 that got sold. So now the books are showing one less part 1, 2, 3 and one too many of part 4, 5, 6 than what is really on the shelf. So sometimes these kind of situations come about, and we need to get in there and show that there's an adjustment to the quantity of the inventory. So here I am on Rock Castle Construction. That's our sample product-based company. And once you get into that, it has everything on here. And so you can add items, inventory items, under items and services. This lists all of Rock Castle Construction's inventory items, and we can add new ones. We can edit these. And so here we see on cabinet pulls that is, we have 422 cabinet pulls according to the books. Okay, so let's say that one of the cabinet pulls got broken. Okay, I'm going to go back to my home screen and go, you see this inventory activities button, and to the right of the inventories activity button there is a little down arrow. Now you can go to the inventory center, which you could have done just by clicking on the icon. You didn't need to click on the down arrow. You can build assemblies. That's when we have a little manufacturing business and you set up each type of inventory item that you are actually building and what all goes into it. Or we can adjust the quantity or value on hand, and that's what we're going to choose to do. Okay, so it gives us this blank screen, and it wants to know what are we going to adjust, and we can adjust the quantity of items, how many items we have. We can adjust the total value of the items, the total dollar value, or we can adjust both the quantity and the total value. Now in this case, we just need to adjust the quantity of the cabinet pulls. Now for the date, if you're doing this on the date that the cabinet pull actually got broken, then you would put in that exact date. Otherwise, if this is part of adjusting entries, then you would put it in the last day of the period would be the date. Okay? The adjustment account, it wants to know, okay, if I subtract an inventory item, that means I'm going to credit inventory. What do I need to debit? What if I add an inventory item? That means I'm going to debit inventory. What do I need to credit? Okay, so that's what this is asking. What account do you want to deal with besides the inventory account? Okay, now typically if something happens to the inventory, gets broken, lost, stolen, whatever, then we're going to use cost of goods sold, and it's still going to get put into cost of goods sold. It's still an expense that we get to subtract off the loss of that inventory item. So that's an expense account, cost of goods sold. Now here, Rock Castle has a bunch of different cost of goods sold. We're just going to use the main cost of goods sold account. Okay? Now, QuickBooks may have their own reference numbers on these, and that's fine. If you have separate reference numbers for inventory adjustments, then you can type that in. If this particular cabinet pull belonged to a customer job, we want to make sure to say what job it is so that customer doesn't get charged for this cabinet pull that we busted. Okay? And then the classifications. Rock Castle Construction has new construction, remodeling, and overhead as their classifications. For Project 4, you do not need either the job or the classification. Okay. Now, you're then going to have to go in here to find and select items. Now, you can select all the items if you need to adjust all of them. Okay. Or you can we just want to do cabinet pulls. We will put our little check mark next to cabinet pulls and say add selected items. And it brings that one up. And it shows us that we have 422 of them. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is, if one is busted, you can either go into new quantity and put 421, or you can go into quantity difference column and say, I have one less, so you're going to put in a -1. And once you press tab, you can see it automatically subtracted that 1. Or you could have typed in 421 and then it would have automatically subtracted 1. Okay? So down in the memo box is where we're going to say broken. Okay? And that's our explanation of why we are subtracting this one cabinet pull out of the books. Okay. Down on the right, it's beyond your screen so you can't see it. It says total value of adjustment minus $2.56. And that's the cost to us of one cabinet pull. So it's subtracting $2.50 off the total of the cabinet pull values. And it says number of item adjustments, and it just says 1. Okay, so now we're going to click Save and Close. And you can go into Items and Services. Here's our cabinet pulls. Notice it's now listed at 421. Okay, I can double click on that. That brings me up the item list on it with all the basic information. You can always fix any of this that you need to fix. Also on hand, it shows now 421. Okay, and it also shows us the average cost, $2.55933, which basically rounds to $2.56, is the average cost that gets subtracted every time we sell one of these and we debit cost of goods sold and credit inventory. It's going to be for $2.56. At the end of the period, you have a list of, on Project 4, of all your different inventory amounts that were physically counted out on the shelves. How many Hunter houses you have, etc., etc. And so you need to make sure, you need to go in here and make sure that your numbers in your books match those numbers that are listed under Project 4 in the instructions. If you have, and there's also a doghouse that's ruined, and so you'll have to go in there and do like we just did under Inventory Activities and down arrow and adjust the quantity for that one. Then you're going to check and make sure after that that all of your quantities are equal to what's on the instruction sheet. If they aren't, then you have a mistake somewhere. You either put in too many, you took out too many, you didn't use something that you did not do correctly, and so you'll know that you need to fix something. You can always call, and I can see what I can do to assist you.